Hello everyone, this is the Monotonist, your PM, also known as Puzzle Master. I decided to break my silence to give you all a little bit of a behind-the-scenes commentary on the Captain Vinetoad adventure. It's going to be a long video, and I'm doing it all in one take to save time, so wish me luck. Alright, so first of all, congratulations to all of you for completing the challenge and making it to this video. As I'm recording this, you are all probably very upset with me for being so late and giving you the final puzzles, and it will probably be very late for all of you as you're figuring out the last few puzzles. And it's kind of a weird time paradox that I'm in right now. I'm both in the present and in the future. So it was all of you at Captain Vinetoad headquarters, CVTHQ, who made this such a thrill for us to work on. I listened and watched to everything that you guys were talking about and typing about and memeing about and all of that going on in the Vinecord. And it completely blew me away how quickly all of you worked together as a group. And it means so much to me and the others in the Vine Sauce's Hope charity group that you showed this much enthusiasm for our little first-time project. And even though there were a lot of you there were sometimes a few hundred of you all working at the same time, especially towards the beginning. But I took note of a few individuals who I saw participating and being a part of the group a little bit better than the others. And this list is not in any particular order, and I'm probably going to mispronounce some of your names. But some of those people are Kyo, Sovium, Chris Anonymous, R Forever, Great Sphinx, Alex Earth, Demon Heart, Neri, Sam I Am, Negative Bread, Sir Crow, Air Salad, Neon the Coder, Atsui Mano, Abby Ray, Kirita, Hitomi, and anyone else who was also working together. Just these people in particular I saw were contributing a great deal and were consistently there every day and were somewhat forgiving of my tardiness in putting together these puzzles. So thank you, all of you. So the intent of this game was to be low to medium difficulty. It's going to be accessible to everyone from desktop to phones, and to have drastically different themes from day to day, so that some days certain types of people would be able to contribute and others wouldn't, and other days others would contribute and others wouldn't. So I wanted to have a lot of variety to keep it interesting, to not be too predictable each day. Like, you didn't really know what to expect each time. It wasn't supposed to be crazy difficult. There's no like elaborate cipher decoding or a lot of like things that are traditionally in these types of experiences. And when you guys got stuck on something, it was usually a result of the chaos of trying to get everyone coordinated and working together at one time. Usually like attention spans will have ran out and you're just overlooking such like a simple little detail or things like that. So it honestly was not that difficult in practice, or by design I should say, but in practice it got a little hard just because a lot of you are new to being a part of these types of games, don't really know how to coordinate too well, but it was all a part of the fun. I hope we managed to introduce some of you to this kind of thing for the first time. And some of the times when some of you were like, oh, this is too easy or something like that, it's because you're identifying as the group. Like, you're all one collective mind with different abilities all working together. So it's easy because you're all together. And I recommend some of you should try doing this from the beginning alone and then see how difficult it can be when you don't have other types of personalities all working collaboratively. And another thing I think you should all understand is that this was put together in our spare time, which there wasn't much of. It was put together by volunteers, most of whom have never done anything like this before. And even though I have an extensive background in playing these types of games, I've never actually been at the helm before, so this was the first time for me. I was making these puzzles from scratch minutes before they went live, and I was error checking in real time, updating files as you guys were working on them. And whew, there were a few instances that you guys would have been pretty mad about if I didn't catch them, but you'll never know. So now I would like to thank the people behind the scenes here, the Vinesauce's Hope team. First of all, everyone contributed one way or another throughout this entire process. But I would like to go down person to person and just give a few direct thanks to how they directly contributed to this. First of all, Hootie, for allowing this to happen, especially so late in the process. This was something that happened way towards the end of all the planning, and we're like, can we pull it off? Can we pull it off? And I was very confident in my own abilities to try to pull this all together and get everything going, despite, you know, all the complexities of running an event like this. That it was a challenge that I believed that we were up to, and I felt like we executed it well all the way to the end. And also, Hootie wrote many of the riddles. If you came across riddles that were written really well and actually followed poem formalities and rhyme schemes and were written properly, those are the ones that Hootie wrote. And if there are ones that were really hurried and short and broke a bunch of rules, those are the ones that I wrote. And also, Hootie designed the crossword puzzle that you all finished so quickly. And he also did all of these streamer profile puzzles. And I'd like to thank Norix for giving me anyway, server access and keeping track of security and being constant tech support despite all the other things that he's working on. I'd like to thank Mental Gen for being part of the inspiration for the story direction that this all went in. She was heavily involved early on in the process and deciding the sort of world building and direction that this was going to go. And not to toot my own horn, but I'm also like to mention myself as I was behind all of this. Keeping it together, the scheduling, the design of it, the HTML work. I created the majority of the puzzles, and it was everyone else was helping give feedback and trying to like think of some stuff that's original but not too frustrating, finding that balance between fun and aggravation. And it was very interesting to me watching you all go about it in sometimes the way I intended and sometimes the way I didn't intend it to be. And next, I would like to thank the artists who were behind this, because without them, this would have just been a text adventure. First of all, I'd like to thank Muffin Seeker, who isn't actually a part of the Vinesauce's Hope team, but Muffin Seeker created the original concept for Captain Vinetoad that can be seen on the front of the Vinesauce's Hope website that served as inspiration for all of the rest of the portrayals. I'd like to thank 8-Bit Beetle, who created the infinitely charming depiction of Vinetoad seen all throughout the introduction, at the end of each day, and all the depictions throughout other Vinesauce's Hope mediums. And she also created the ending art that you all probably will have seen by now. I'd also like to thank Charismatic, or Carrie, I believe, for creating the beautiful clouds for the day and dusk and night cloud transitions that happened, which ended up playing a nice kind of gameplay role in the end. Then she also created the illustrations for the item hunt that you all probably just finished as a part of the event manual. I'd also like to thank Peer Deer for the star card illustration that was on the front of the Vinesauce's Hope website. Thank Mithy for creating the Sorry Nothing 404 art that you all have probably seen a lot of by now. And I thank Natalie today for another one of the ending arts. Alley Doodles for creating the puzzle star card and variations, and for going ahead with all of my feedback on how to alter it around. And thank Luigi Guy for the Captain Vinetoad Twitter account and the profile image seen there. And Shining Bind for not only creating just the whole event manual, which is a whole thing on its own, but also for accommodating some puzzle aspects of things that were going on inside there. Some of which that Norix also contributed to some of the puzzles that were used later. And a couple logistical assistance people I'd like to thank is Natalie today again for always being around to help, and also for rapidly producing egg puns and all kinds of clever things like that, and just being a nice person overall. And last but not least, I would like to thank Great Zot for his stunning post-hype stream performance that he improvised with a camera, and for him reading the introductory message. Whew. Wow, the video is probably not even halfway over by now, and now I would like to do is put away all of my super secret notes and show you my desktop. So the fact that you guys put this document together, apparently by Jesus Christ himself put this together, but I think it was Sovium or Soviam who actually organized this. But this is so flattering that you guys cared this much about it, that you put together this entire document. Like, that is mind-blowing to me. And even have your own inside jokes and all of these things like I've never experienced before, or I've never had an experience like this before, and all of your fake tweets and your aggravations. And also Natalie today created this egg emote, and this is amazing. Like, you guys are documenting this better than I could have. And as part of the time paradox that's happening here, I'm going to scroll down here, and I'm not going to see any of the ending puzzles in here, because as I'm making this, you guys are waiting for me to do it, and I should probably make this video a little faster so I can upload it to you all. Oh my god, it's 11 p.m. already. Okay. So just would like to start here with a little bit of Great Zot's performance.
It was the balloons. They're preventing it. What's this? Something attached here.
We really didn't give him any script at all for this. This was all him. And it may or may not have involved pants at one point.
Where luck was so hard to find, a star drifted high upon a balloon. It rose. Come on, balloon, stop hitting the fan. I'm trying to read this. I'm trying my best.
You keep doing your best.
It rose and it swayed with one plan in mind.
Well, this was supposed to just sort of...
had to arrive somewhere and soon.
This is just supposed to just set the mood and to get you all wondering, like, what is this? What's going on? And then, of course, it ends it by saying to go to the Vine Sauce's Hope website,
It's puzzling fate.
hope.vineshroom.net. It's brought you here, and this image was not there originally, but we added it right, like, within seconds. Like, it was super chaotic behind the scenes because we were trying to get the event manual up as people were talking about it, and also the game was supposed to go live as well. And there was so much going on all at one time. It's a miracle that this ended up being up and running at the time of it finally launching. So I have all these tabs open. I'm just going to go down. So we have the introduction. We have the illustration there by Pierre, and the clouds by Charismatic, and the 8-Bit Beetle portrayal of Vinetoad. And we debated for quite a while about trying to figure out what the actual core gameplay of all of this would be. And it came down to it that I knew that we had a extreme time crunch to try to get this together. So I designed it to be the simplest possible gameplay I could think of. There's no extra JavaScript. There's no complex things that could potentially go really wrong, because my understanding of a lot of like web programming and all that isn't all that advanced, but I can understand how to do this. So it kept it simple, didn't want to make it too cryptic or anything. And plus this could be done on desktop and mobile. And here's your first hint about what's to come, because we haven't actually introduced yet that VineToad is going to be tweeting, but we're showing it right there. And then there's a little spoiler about the very end, which is going to be the event manual with the cover by 8-Bit Beetle. And this is, the tutorial. It tells you how, right, this is putting you to the test, because you're told here what you're supposed to do, and you do it once, do it again, and this is the core gameplay. And yeah, very simple start. Answer is here. And originally had you're being played like a damn fiddle, but it's supposed to be wholesome, all right? And you know the rules. And this is the first discovery of Captain VineToad HQ. And I didn't really mention the introduction, but it was a joyous time when I first created that channel, and everyone is in there like, yo, what's this kind of thing going on. It was just so much chaos. Everyone was just posting whatever they wanted. Some of us knew what it was about, some of us didn't, and I wish I could have had a collection of what everyone's guesses for what CVTHQ stood for. There were some really fantastic ones, and my favorite one is actually hidden in the ending page. If you mouse over something in particular, you can see what my favorite acronym for CVTHQ was. Here it is, the birth of egg. This was not intended to be really difficult, and I remember as we were watching this behind the scenes, we were like, okay, yeah, they're kind of going about it the way that we predicted, that they're going to think that it's a big math equation and that it all has to do this like really complicated thing. And I remember some of you are like, this is really hard. Like, this is just the third puzzle and it's already extremely hard. And we're like, no, it's not hard. It's not hard. Like, it's an infamous thing in these types of games for people to overthink things. And that's usually the route that you should go, is that before getting too deep in the one direction, you should try all of just the very beginnings of different theories behind it before getting too deep. But this went on, and hey, it created egg, which was fantastic. Now that I think about it, I should have put this one a little bit later so that you would have gotten used to the flow of how this is going to work, and it maybe wouldn't have been so hard. So we got no mistakes. By the way, these are ones that Hootie wrote. Well, I wrote this. Hootie wrote this one because it's well written, and he did this one as well. And then once you guys got past this, it was like clear sailing from this point on. Wait, can I zoom in? Wait, this is the power of doing stuff live. Okay, hopefully this doesn't totally destroy my HTML. Okay. Hootie did this one as well. And yeah, once you guys got by the very first one, you just breezed through all the rest of them very fast. And tweet, I wanted to make sure that you all caught on to the fact that Captain VineToad was going to be tweeting to let you all know when each day begins. VineToad is going to be our voice to you as the player. And I had no idea you're going to get stuck on the egg one, and it was just a happy accident that it ended up being this image that I chose for the completion of day one. So we got day 2, and this was thinking with symbols, and I wanted this day to be more abstract. They get you guys away from reading riddles and more about symbolic language, and everyone knows wingdings. It's a good start to it all. And I wish I were, because what does it say translated? I think it was like avoid the dings, spread your wings. But the trick is that some of these wingdings were capitalized and some were not. And I saw what happened is when people first translated it, they ignored the capitalization, which was actually critical. So it's always like to have that extra little layer of difficulty that actually made the solution of this was Aves, or however it's pronounced, Aves. So I wish I were a bird, is the hint. And the next one is pretty straightforward. It's just emotes. These are all, or most of them are from channels of the people involved in this, involved in the whole event. And it spells out a word. And I can't even remember exactly. Oh, on your sleeve. So wear emotions on your sleeve. That was the hint. Piglet, because it's a pig pen cipher, and it's a small pig pen cipher, is why it was called Piglet. And I think the solution to this was, like, what is this, a puzzle for ants? Which I could not figure out. And this one was originally way more complicated. I originally had a very big, dense grid of all of this, but that's when it kind of turned into busy work, and I felt like no one's going to really have fun sitting and translating Pigpen Cipher, because you know what you need to do, and it just feels like busy work. So I am glad it ended up being as simple as this. And obligatory was my one chance to integrate Morse code, because I personally love Morse code. I have it all memorized, and it's used all the time in games with mysterious qualities and all of that. And it's obligatory because it's like, oh, we got a mystery. There's going to be Morse code somewhere. There always is. And then the solution of it is, of course, because it's Morse, of course. And thanks to, I believe, Natalie today for doing the smile and frown illustrations. And I chose the airplane because a bird was brought up earlier. Cursed. And I'm glad you guys figured out the clue for this, because it was cursed like a hex, and a hex is 16 in hex color, and that was a very key component of this, was the hex color, and you guys caught on very fast. And I was so proud watching you guys decode this one, because you did like nearly everything in exactly the order that I had anticipated you guys doing it. Only thing that got a little mixed up was that, actually, let me just step through it all from the beginning, just in case someone viewing this video wasn't a part of it. So these are 5 groups, they're 4 by 4, and hex color is a code way of portraying color, but hex is also a way to portray text. So that's the puzzle, is that you're getting an RGB value from each one of these little tiny squares, and it just happens to be that those 3 values also equated to letters, which is the unique thing about this puzzle. So you guys caught on to that really fast, and you were getting clear text right away. And then you were off to trying to reorganize it, and there's something about commu-hose came around for a while, and that was one of my favorite words during this puzzle. It's like commu-hose. What is that, like? Is that something that women wear in Soviet Russia or what? So this was going really well, and the part I seem to remember you guys got hung up on was that you saw the capital letters, but it was a huge anagram that needed to be figured out, and I was hoping you guys wouldn't think I would actually require you to solve an enormous anagram, because that's just a nightmare. Like, anagrams are the slipperiest of slopes in these types of games, and I would never just throw a giant word out there. So you eventually caught on to the fact that it's separated by sentence. And then the final step that actually is the first time I intervened a tiny bit was that you didn't know to add the quote or attribute to the end, which was Fred Rogers. So it was a Fred Rogers quote, one of my favorites, that was about people who normally see life as not their problem, nothing has anything to do with them, and how the people that are his heroes are the ones that see the world as a potential place to solve problems and to make it a better place. And I don't have the exact quote on hand, but it was a great one, and I felt like it had to do well with the charity stream. Oh, hey, Fred's playing World of Warcraft because I forgot to turn off notifications. And so this was supposed to clue you all into hex color. This brings us to this bad boy. So let me explain. This, you guys got hung up on this for a very long time. And if you were someone who's done a lot of tricky puzzle solving, that it might have occurred to you a little quicker, like it was extremely intentional that I put these trailing 2 pixels at the bottom, because it's supposed to show you that this is not a complete square, that it's something that's supposed to move, and it's supposed to clue you into the fact that it's like left to right reading order and how something would end up going here. So the reason this is called blocked in is because of a method of solving it. So the way I intended people to solve it, which I think literally nobody did, is that you see 2 colors, you assign 1 color to 1 symbol, like it could be a 1 or a 0, even though it's not binary code, but I personally used a hyphen and an @ sign because they're very distinctly different from one another. Anyway, you go to a text editor, and 1 color is 1 symbol, another color is the other symbol, and you just simply type out the entire box into a text editor. And then this is the key part. This is where blocking comes in. You use word wrap to solve this. All this is essentially ASCII art, and then you resize a text editor window to nudge these down to different lines until you get a complete box. And by the time it's a complete box with even increments all the way around, it produces the pixel art or ASCII art of the solution, which is power of 1. So that's what took so long. Everyone's like, oh, it's a QR code, you know, because pixels equal QR codes. And then you're thinking like, why is there a big line in the middle? I mean, there were a lot of theories going around about this, and I mean, I don't blame you guys for being confused by it, but it's like something that you'll either get pretty quick or you won't. So I had to use VineToad pretty extensively to get this one solved, and I hope you all learned something from doing this one. So it's blocked in because it's all condensed in a text editor file, and everything is being crushed. And I'm hand gesturing right now, and you can't see my hands, but it's like it's all being pressed inward. That's why it's blocked in, and that's how you solve it. Anyway, from side to side, I was very proud that you guys immediately saw the black dots and were thinking that we're going to be counting something, counting individual pixels. And these dots at the bottom were an afterthought completely. Like I originally was just going to have all of the lines and that was it, but you caught on to the fact that this was a counting related thing. And an additional clue to this one that nobody caught on to, actually it was present in this one too, is the hex color. The red is hex, the hex values are for the letter R, and green was hex for the letter L. So that would have been a clue to tell you what direction that you're starting from. And also it does have a Mario connection because it's red is right with R, and then L as in Luigi is left. So you start by going right and you count the pixels, and you start on like an alphabet A through Z. You count how many pixels, you go that way, that many pixels, and that's the first letter. And then you don't stop. Once you count over once, you keep going with the next line and keep going down the alphabet until you get to the end. And then each word, you know, it's separated by line by word. And then once you hit the color transition, which is L, Luigi, left, keep going, and then you go the opposite direction. So this whole thing is about counting side to side from a English alphabet. And this one actually didn't take you guys very long. It was pretty quick. It was something that once you figured out what you're supposed to do, just like if you get one letter successfully or one word, then boom, the whole thing comes together very fast. Wow, I'm already on 30 minutes. I should congratulate anyone who's actually still listening to this. Thank you. This was a very long day, but it was fun. And this was the first time I was a bit late and got people upset. And I want to tell you a little sob story about why I was late. And this is a good example of, this whole thing was put together by free time. It's been like 90 degrees this whole week when I was putting this together. It's been extremely hot outside and sweaty. And I had literally no food in my apartment because I was pretty caught up in doing all of this stuff before putting this all together, being there in the Discord and just trying to get everything together. And I'm doing like all these other freelance things for, for a living. And I had literally no food in my apartment. And I don't have a car, so I bike ride. So I went on a 4-mile bike ride in 90-degree heat to go get food. And I'm carrying like 40 pounds of food on my back, on my bike to get back. And it was just taking a long time to get home. And I hadn't finished the puzzles yet. And I saw people were like, oh, where is he? Oh, and I'm like, hey, I'm like literally trying to stop myself from dying right now. You can wait for your little puzzles, all right? You're not gonna suffer. But anyway, I had planned that we're gonna have at least one day that had some educational, basic information about the cause for the charity stream. And because that's really what this is all about, is like getting people excited and educated and just keeping people engaged up to the right up to the event. So these weren't meant to be difficult by any means. So, our cause, and this is just a description of the charity stream, or of the PCRF, Pediatric Cancer Research Foundation. And by the way, all of the answers to these were taken off of the PCRF website. So if you were really, really detail oriented, you would have Googled around and looked for what these solutions were. Like this solution wasn't from it. It was just a quote. But then this solution was Power of One, which is one of the slogans that the founder, I believe, of PCRF says on her profile. She's like, we believe in the power of one. And this solution is for more than 35 years. And that's the beginning of the informational thing on PCRF's website. They say, for more than 35 years, we have contributed, blah, blah, blah. So that would have given you a foreshadow that what was coming the next day. So this is just PCRF's description. And this is a startling rate, which is every 2 minutes, a child in the US is diagnosed with cancer, which is, I think, extremely startling. Very sad. And 30%, which is the largest percentage of childhood cancer, of type of childhood cancer, and the answer was leukemia, bone marrow, blood. Just so you'd have to look and get a couple more details and not just like guess leukemia. Seeing is believing. This is a common method of actually seeing tumors or whatever growths in your body, which is a CAT scan or a CT scan, but the solution was computed tomography scan. Yep, that was the answer to that. Then a hopeful future. This is a bill that was very recently passed in the US Congress that opens up so many new possibilities and new routes for funding and additional research for specifically pediatric cancer research. And it was so fitting that the acronym for it is STAR, and we have the theme of stars for this entire thing: Survivorship, Treatment, Access, Research Act. That was the first day, and shame on you to people who are like, oh, it was so easy. It's like, you missed the point. Okay, just wanted to get that out. So, video games, because that's what we're all here, video games. And I chose this one in particular because it looks like Saria's song at first, except I think one note is different. And this is from Majora's Mask and not Ocarina of Time. Everyone initially, as predicted, said, oh, it's Ocarina of Time. It's probably like Saria's song. But no, it's actually Song of Soaring from Majora's Mask. That's just to get you warmed up that these are like multi-step video game puzzles. This one, I was actually kind of shocked that someone got it immediately. I should have cropped it a little bit closer to make it harder, but yeah, this was Mario 64, and it was to name that star, and it was Shooting into the Wild Blue, which I thought was a really cool name. And because we have this cloud theme going on, I figured it was fitting because it's like you shoot out of a cannon into the sky, the wild blue, to get that star, and that fits the visual theme of this. Also, Song of Soaring, because it's also flight and it fits our theme. And you get this song from an owl statue, I believe. And, you know, Hootie's an owl. There you go. And wood, because you get it in a place I think it's called like wood something. I don't remember. It starts with wood. Blast off, because that's what the little red Bob-omb guy says right before you get the star. Nice to meet you. I am Error, and I'm glad you guys got that one quick. This one, I was surprised that it was pretty quick. This is Final Fantasy IV in the US. This is Edward. And a lot of the games that I chose for these puzzles are games that I personally enjoy. And Final Fantasy IV and Final Fantasy VI are my childhood Final Fantasies that I really relate closely to. And the please is the line that Edward here says immediately after being called a spoony bard, which was the solution to this puzzle. Between Us. This is the Chris Houlihan secret room in Link to the Past, and this is one of the many entrances to it, and I felt pretty clever coming up with this one as a puzzle. And Between Us is one of the lines that the plaque inside the chamber says. It says like, hello, my name is Chris Houlihan, something, 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 and then he says like, let's keep the secret between us. And I also thought it was fitting that Link is between the hole and the bomb, so it's kind of... Okay, let me take off my gloves for this. No. Let me explain. So the intent of this is just name the dudes in the screenshots. And Half-Life 1 is my all-time favorite game, so I had to include a Half-Life puzzle. And if anyone had been really well-versed in Half-Life lore, you would have known this so quickly, and you wouldn't have spent very much time on it. But that was the problem. It's like nobody in CVTHQ cared about Half-Life at all, and I was like about to cry that like nobody had played it. Like what is it? But I guess I'm just getting really old. But and I know there was someone who had played it before, and this is kind of a little extra detail. But anyway, so Half-Life 1. None of these characters are named in Half-Life 1 aside from their texture name, which would be Glasses, Luther, and Einstein. But the clue says debacle, which is a term or a word that is used in Half-Life 2 to retroactively describe the situation on the left. So this word connects the two games together, because so now you know, okay, I need to refer to Half-Life 2 to get information on these characters. And Magnuson is the scientist that says debacle. He says like, I'll forgive you for that debacle at Black Mesa. You know the one about a certain microwave casserole. And there's really no other reason for you to believe that this is anyone but Magnuson. I know it looks like Kleiner because it's the glasses model that Kleiner was based on, but it's not Kleiner. Magnuson is the only one that refers to this, and this is the only model of scientist that ever appears in this scene. I played it 100 times, and it was only ever him. So, Magnuson is the left one, and you get his name from Wikipedia, and it's Arnie Magnuson. Okay, then on the right here, now that you know that Half-Life 1 and 2 are connected, you would just Google search anything about Half-Life 2 characters in Half-Life 1, and it would bring up Eli. So this is Eli Vance. Eli specifically says in Half-Life 2 that he was the one that gives Gordon Freeman, you, the mission to go to the surface to get help. And so this is without a doubt Eli here. And the reason that I kept this third scientist slightly in frame is that this Luther model occurs in many other parts of the game. I needed to give this scene context to know that this is the Eli Vance instance of Luther and not the 100 other occurrences. So I was hoping that by keeping them both centered, somewhat centered, that you would just know that it's these two. And final little detail that I don't know how you guys thought this was a thing. The guy down here is not Kleiner. There is no way this is Kleiner. It looks nothing like him at all. And that character is Einstein. That's what they call his model. I mean, it's not literally Albert Einstein, but it's supposed to look like him. And he has no connection to Half-Life 2. There's nobody in Half-Life 2 that ever claims to be this character. No one's modeled after him or anything. So how could you think this is Kleiner? Like, you know, clearly this is Kleiner based on, you know, the mustache, the large poofy hair, and the lack of glasses. You know, like the resemblance is just 1-to-1. Clearly it's Kleiner. And these two models are the only ones that ever occur in that scene. So there's no way that it would ever be anyone except Einstein that's down here. And he's not dead, by the way. You guys kept saying he was dead. If you played the scene and went to this part of the game, you'll see that he's moving around. He's being talked to by Eli, and there's no blood. He's not dead. And then, yes, the final little detail is that they were swapped. And I didn't think it would be a big deal because I figured that, hey, once you get the confidence that you know who these characters are, because there's lots of resources on it, that you would just be like, oh, well, we should probably try flipping them, because that's just something you always do in these types of puzzles, is to flip them around. It was originally a mistake on my part, and I could have easily fixed it, but I'm leaving it the way it is by principle, because you guys just should have flipped it. It wasn't that big of a deal. And plus, I can see everything that you guys submit, and I know as a fact that the fact that it was flipped was never a problem in the grand scheme of things. The problem you guys came across was just naming these two, and it wasn't a problem to flip them until like the last like 30 seconds. So like the fact that it was flipped was greatly exaggerated. And then to whoever was saying like, oh, there's no clues, it doesn't make sense, I can't believe you know, how extremely hard this was, unnecessarily hard, blah, blah, blah. Well, you all just need to play Half-Life more. And I don't mean it in a mean way, but that one just, I was about to break my silence in chat for a while on here because it was getting on. Anyway, the solution is Eli Vance, Arnie Magnuson. You're just identifying the two scientists based on the clue that connects it to Half-Life 2. This one you guys got very fast. This is like a classic video game thing. This is Doom 2, the end of Doom 2. And there's a voice that plays during this scene where he says, to finish the game, let me cheat. To win the game, you must kill me, John Romero. And that was a very classic Easter egg. And I try to get some diversity in the games I was showing here. Then we got this, another one of my favorite games, just Fate of Atlantis, with someone called Faith of Atlantis, and I cried a little bit. Kind of like how someone called the Resonance Cascade, someone called it the Renaissance Cascade, and I was like, what? But, so Fate of Atlantis is an Indiana Jones game, and it's sort of like an inside joke, I guess, in my family, because we grew up playing this game. But at this point in the game, this guy says 100 beads, and I had to include that in a puzzle. And this is like a very critical game ending moment of the game. So if you've played Faith, well, you got me, Fate of Atlantis, you would have known this. But people got it pretty quick. Like, you recognized it was LucasArts right away, and I felt warm and fuzzy inside when people are like, oh, hey, this looks kind of like Sam and Max. This looks kind of like, you know, Day of the Tentacle. Looks, you know, it's like, yeah, it's all LucasArts. Which, that felt great that someone recognized the art style. And I had to do it to them. I had to give you guys an egg puzzle, and of course everyone knew Banjo-Kazooie, and I was actually surprised that as many people knew about Stop and Swap as you did. I didn't even know about Stop and Swap until like a month ago, but I didn't grow up with Banjo-Kazooie, so it doesn't really have a special place in my heart or anything, but it was just a really cool, obscure video game thing that I thought I would include. So, egg solution was to find what particular cheat code was required to unlock this incomplete feature of the game, which was this really long thing. It was like, don't you go and tell her about the secret in her cellar, was this particular one. All right, so streamer profiles, these were all made by Hootie, and then I brought them together and like compiled them, and Hootie did a fantastic job coming up with tweet combinations and like little images associated with games that are associated with the person, and he had a lot of like really evil things that he wanted to do with you guys, because so many streamers on Vinesauce play Monster Hunter. He was going to make like 4 of these have a Monster Hunter image just to get you guys mad, but he's like, I'm not going to be that mean. So there was a lot less Monster Hunter going on for this puzzle. And then I just wanted to, I'm going to skip most of these. So to get to streamer profile of Great Zot. And the reason that it took us so long to actually start giving you hints about this is because Great Zot was in the Discord at the time. And we're like, wouldn't it be cool if Great Zot himself could actually give you guys a little hint? And so it was left up to him to sort of like figure out what to do. So he tried like tweeting out a video with Morse code in the audio, but I think you guys were all so gone and like fed up with trying to figure these out that no one really felt like looking or trying to listen in on Morse code. Someone did, but really what you want to do is record audio and then look at the spectrogram, and then Morse code becomes way easier to decode if you can't do it by ear. And then of course we got like the hot dog generators and all of that business. So let me check what else I have. My God, this video is almost 50 minutes. Check my notes real quick. So yeah, this point would lead up to the final puzzles, which I haven't uploaded yet. You're all waiting for me to upload it, and I'm here recording a video that you guys won't see until after you've completed them all. So they're all done. I don't have a whole lot to say about them. I don't have them up here because they're not uploaded right now, but they're all event manual focused. They use some of the more obscure things from the event manual, and Hootie has a particularly evil final riddle for you all that I think you will enjoy. And some of the little secrets and stuff are hidden in the final image. think that's all I want to say. And I did this all in one take. Rambling now. So, that's all I wanted to say. So, thank you all very, very much for participating and showing so much enthusiasm for this. It like started to bring a tear to my eye for a little bit to see the work come to life and to see people play it, people having fun with it, and that you guys are like sitting there waiting each day for the next puzzles to come out. And I'm like, oh, I wish I could give you guys so much more. There's a lot of other things that I want to do. And this is just our first little diving into this kind of thing. So I hope you enjoyed Captain Vinetoad's adventure in his fantabulous floaty boat. I hope you all enjoy the streams over the weekend and have a great time. Support a great cause put on by some great people. You're all a great community. And that's all I have to say. So thank you and have a great weekend.